a couple of conversations that I heard from Tim yesterday on the post-game show that I want to run by him when he joins us at 10, but they've always been in on trying to win today's game. That was a winnable game yesterday, even though somebody on the other side has an insane pitching performance against you. Brewers were in the mix there. Aaron Savali gave them a real chance to win that game.
Absolutely.
And Nick, it's part of the equation for them once they get to the All-Star break. When you have success with dudes like Aaron Savali, who you acquire for a high A-ball 20-year-old shortstop who's a glove first guy,
plus first best overall prospect.
Yeah, I think it is. It can make it more difficult for, I think, the Brewers front office to then say, well, we do have to load up with high-level prospects to go grab one of the biggest names. When we can see in Aaron Savali, he's had 2 starts now, hasn't won one yet.
Yeah,
but he's looked good in both of them. I find that fascinating 3 weeks away from the deadline or a little bit under now, where they know they've had success getting some reclamation products. They know that they've seen guys with high spin not being able to be as effective, Brian Hudson's and such. If they do just say, you know what, we're going to double down on what we do, and we're going to grab a couple more Aaron Savalis of guys the teams have kind of given up on, and see if and those are the horses that ride us into October.
Well, that's probably the most logical path for them to take, if we're being honest with where they're at and how they've performed to this point with the guys they've had. For them to say, okay, yeah, we're going to package a bunch of our top dogs, some of our future assets, and go and get a guy who's going to help us down the stretch this season, doesn't really make much sense when Tobias Myers stays in the rotation, tosses 8 scoreless. Aaron Savali goes 6 1/3 with 1 earned. You already have Freddie Peralta locked and loaded. He's going to pitch, right? You have these options. Colin Ray. It's hard for me to say that the Brewers are in desperate need of a starting pitcher. They need a guy that you feel and everyone feels, because right now I'm not sure if they have one that you can say, okay, if they need to start game 1 of a postseason series, I have full confidence in them. But I mean, Tobias Myers has been pitching lights out, and guys make names for themselves based off of the performance down the stretch and into the postseason. We may come into next season and be like, okay, yeah, so Brewers have 2 guys. They got Tobias Myers and they got Freddie Peralta. Okay, and Brandon Woodruff's back.
Yeah, and it's a good point, Nick, when you sometimes have to allow those young guys to make their name in the postseason, right? It's difficult when lining it up. All right, so game 1, you go Peralta. Game 2, you're going Colin Ray. We're really going Tobias Myers. Game 3, right? Aaron Savali's pitched in the postseason. Does that mean Toby, as good as he's been in the last 6 starts, doesn't even factor into the equation? It's a balancing act. I just wonder if they're going to continue to trick themselves, right? Or believe that it continues to be as good as it is right now because of the vibes being as high, like Brian West Dallas. With performances like that yesterday, I firmly believe this team would be no better than 500 if they still had that missionary council at the helm. I still think that they're a good offensive ball club. They got shut down by one of the best pitchers in baseball right now.
Well, he's been the best pitcher since he came up. I mean, he's been the best pitcher in baseball since he was promoted to major leagues in May. He's been the best guy. Less than 2 ERA. His strikeouts are insane.
And it's just the way he's doing it, Nick. Like, I'm watching, and we had talked about seeing some clips from the Receiver Show on Netflix. And Davante Adams, one of his trademark quotes that he keeps going to is, It's about how it looks. Well, how it looks with Paul Skeens is freaking dominating. Like it looks like there is no chance you're touching this rock when it comes out of his hand. It's wild. Bob Nightingale this morning had a quote from Torey Lovello, who is the manager for the NL team. Obviously, the Diamondbacks representing the National League in the World Series yesterday, speaking about the All-Star starter. Won't have to be announced until Monday, but every indication is pointing towards rookie sensation Paul Skeens, says Nightingale. Lovello's quote was, in particular, Paul Skeens, he's been an unbelievable addition to Major League Baseball, and he's created a lot of interest in Major League Baseball. I'm going to be situationally aware of that when making this decision. So that means that he's going to be starting in the All-Star game. Or he has been told, hey, without any uncertain terms, Paul's going to start on Tuesday night, just so you know.
Be ready to go.
Be ready to have Paul. Be
does
there
it mean much? I mean, does it really mean much of anything? I get that he's starting, but like people are going to be like, "Oh wow, what a punch to the face of the guy that really deserved it to start the All-Star game."
I think it's a lot more of the gatekeepers like to take swings. Yeah. Right? You see that a lot. Like I think it's a lot of the people that like to gatekeep the history of baseball.
Yeah.
Continue to fetishize just how different and how much better the game was when everyone played 162 games and nobody was listening to analytics and OPS, but
Sure.
they were, making up distances on Mickey Mantle home run balls and using greenies.
The game's changed, folks. The game has changed. Every game has changed. The NFL looks a lot different than it did. The NBA looks a lot different than it did.
Big time. Yes.
They change, and baseball has made some substantial changes over the last couple of years to try and reinvent themselves or inject some life into the sport. We talk about the review and the potential for ball strike reviews and stuff like that on the Mike Keller show all the time. But over the last few years, they've added the pitch clock, they've added the DH, right? They've added so many different things that have changed the sport within the last decade. They added challenges in general, right? So the sport's changing, and people who are beat up about Paul Skeens potentially being the starter in the All-Star game to pitch one inning just like everybody else pitches one inning. I mean, doesn't
I don't think
necessarily mean much of anything.
No, it really doesn't. And if anything, it proves that I thought yesterday as well that you can see he can be a dude that you build around. Pirates are still a long way from being where they want to be and competing for this division, right? Like Matt in Milwaukee, Billy, we know you're extremely excited and salivating about your man crush, but this is getting old quickly. Matt, yeah, my man, dude shut him down for 99 pitches yesterday. I don't think it speaks poorly to the Brewers. He's doing that to everybody, right? Like, if anything, I'm trying. Guy doesn't want to think anything good comes from speaking about the opponent, but I think it shows Brewers are just like everybody else in that realm. However, when you're 14 games over 500, it's going to take 3 different Paul Skeens to get the Pirates back into the mix, right? Yeah. Cardinals are going to need the Brewers to take on Skeens 10 times in 15 days to be able to catch up right now. It looks like the Cubs are going to have to go on a run like they're doing right now for about 4 weeks if they want to. So it's a good spot to be in. You watch greatness yesterday. However, if Monasterio is able to get that butt down in the 8th inning, you can still steal that game. They're that close, and that's where the margins are and how easily they could have won that game. It makes it a tougher loss. But good things are coming because, like Curtin Grafton said, remember Devin Williams doing a rehab stint this weekend. Yeah, that actually comes up tomorrow in the Fox Valley when he's with the Timber Rattlers getting ready.
That's going to shake some things up, but it helps that Trevor McGill has been as good as he has been because you don't have to just throw Devin right into that 9th inning, right? You're going to be able to ease him back. You're going to have the opportunity to go to McGill when needed. Work Williams back into that role. McGill will probably be your 8th inning guy at that point. I don't know if you saw this message earlier, but Patrick in Germantown was at the game yesterday, and he saw you and your son on the scoreboard.
Oh yeah, they did the Lion King.
Okay, yeah,
the Lion King one.
Simba.
Yeah, so I held the little guy up. My arms are still burning because he's not so little, 18-month-old. Yeah, it was definitely a good one. That was fun. Good seeing you guys out there. And Patrick, wish I would have seen you guys there. Wish I would have seen you and Tiffany out there. That would have been a good time. It was a fantastic day. There were some nooners out at the ballpark yesterday. It was fun until the final result was 1-0 Buccos instead of the good guys in the Brew Crew. They're back at it coming up tonight against the Nationals. We'll talk more Crew coming up in 40 minutes when Tim Allen stops by and joins the conversation as well. As we've had as well from Kenny the Slick Watts fan, it's Billy and Nick. It's the Young Guns. How about this? Fun Friday morning. Nick Bruzewitz is right there. I'm Billy Schmid. You're on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. It's 9 to noon, a fast Friday rolling through the month of July. It's 9 to noon on the Game. 9 to noon on the game. Here we go again. 414-799-1973. That's a song that if you are going to allow for it to breathe, can be one of the ultimate pump up songs. So I got a wedding that I am going to this weekend, Nick Brusewitz.
I've never been to one. Never been to a wedding yet. It's tough.
What?
Yeah, so I mean, whose wedding would I have been to, you know?
You've never been to one single wedding, like a family member, like a cousin, like a okay, all right, sweet. So what happens is two people stand at the front.
Okay.
And then there is an officiant. Sometimes it's a minister, sometimes it's a pastor, priest, if it's a Catholic wedding. And they give vows to then spend the rest of their lives together. Sometimes together only in themselves. Sometimes there's different situations. Sometimes there's different living situations. There's pineapples out front, like decoration. Sometimes you share a spot, but whatever it is, monogamously to each other for the rest of your lives. So then everybody then proceeds to celebrate by drinking as much rail vodka and gin as possible is generally how it goes.
So you got a wedding this weekend?
Yeah, up in the Green Bay area, and there's that cocktail hour moment where I think the music is extremely important. Now, you don't want to just start out with La Bamba, right? Like you got to ease yourself in. There's got to be a slow climb to after dinner. People are then have been vibing, have been feeling a little bit, jovial. Now they got some food in their stomach. They've been able to calm down from cocktail hour. The buzz rolled into the meal, had some good conversation at the table, maybe one or two with dinner if they were smart and grabbed one before the food came out, because then the open bar sometimes stops during dinner. By the time it's ready to really ramp up, then this hits and people are saying, okay,
yeah,
all right. Hey, Rick, let's go get one. Go up, grab a Captain and Coke, start kind of bouncing a little bit. The knees really just back and forth a little bit. And then once somebody is confident enough to start at least just somewhat showing a little rhythm on this like 25 by 25 fake laminate floor that they put right in the middle of a conference center, that's when a wedding really begins, Nick. Because that's for the next 2.5 hours. People are going to start dancing in ways that they probably should never have, in ways that should not be allowed for human beings to consume. However, people do it week in and week out. And sadly, for the next 2 weeks, that is my existence on Saturdays, is weddings. I'm in a back-to-back here.
Well, your buddy met his new girlfriend at your wedding, right?
Yes. My best man did start dating a young lady that he met at the wedding. I love this. Dan from West Bend. Sometimes Elvis is the pastor. Sometimes in Vegas, that is it. Wow. There are a lot of people here on the talk and text line that are also just. So now, is this similar to when John Kuhn found out you were a Cubs fan on the air? Where it somewhat kind of showcased that he didn't listen to the Mike Heller shows. Is this something that you and Heller have discussed many times?
We've talked about it a couple of times. Wow. You know what? In a lot of ways, I drew the short straw with some stuff, right? I just went to my first funeral, which is a positive, a couple months ago, right? That's a positive. I made it 22 years of life without having attended a funeral that I can remember. I was very small when my last grandparent of substance passed away.
Okay, yes.
So that positive, but on the negative side, no weddings.
Okay.
My mom and her siblings aren't particularly close, but the one that she is particularly close with, his kids are younger than me.
So they're not getting married. Yeah. Okay.
And it's just been a tough spot for me. My mom was 40 when I was born.
Oh, sure. Okay. So the weddings were kind of out of that.
Her siblings had already gotten married. So my aunts and uncles, right? No weddings, nothing.
So here's the situation. You're about to walk into a lot of weddings in the next couple of years.
I would like to believe that I am.
From what it sounds like, because you've got a bunch of friends that are all kind of.
Yeah, we got a couple that are engaged.
Couples that are close.
But tough part about it is even the kids that are engaged that were in my class, I'm not in their A list of friends. I was like the B-list friends.
Sure.
Like, we were friends in math class. We played a sport together, but we weren't like our parents were friends and we weren't hanging out on the weekends. So
okay, so you know that you are
I
near
think
the bottom of the list.
I think I'm like in the meat of the list, but like, the almost like March Madness, last four out.
So you're right on the bubble.
I'm like there.
On the bubble line. Yes.
We'd love to have Nick there, but we don't
know if we can.
20,
we got to have
here.
Aunt Sue and her 3 kids.
Yeah, plus Nick would probably, I don't know. Nick's a funny guy. He might do something. We don't know.
Oh, see, now I'm definitely going to invite you to the
well,
wedding.
When you guys do your vows again, however many years
we'll
down
throw
the
that
road.
in. Yes. The invite is coming to your way.
My
Absolutely.
first wedding, or at least my first.
So your first wedding realistically could be your own.
It's possible. And then I'm going to be like, I don't know how these things work.
I don't know how this works. I don't know what to do with my hands.
We have to do a rehearsal. What is this, a play? Are we talking here? Do I have lines?
That is awesome.
Are there lines that I'm supposed to have?
So then this will kind of fall differently, but you mentioned the rehearsal. So I'm actually I like this deal. I'm the arm candy this weekend.
Okay.
My wife is the maid of honor. So this is a spot that I have not been in at the wedding where I have no duties at all, except as Jay on the Talking text line said, Billy, captain and diet, right? Like the only thing that I really have to do is have a very, very good time. The problem is I can't have too good of a time. Because I'm unsupervised for a long period of time, right? Like, so when you're left to your own devices, sometimes, Nick, good things, really great things can come from chaos, right? A chaotic situation sometimes can bring beautiful moments out of it. However, as Mike could be able to tell you, and Armin would be able to tell you, Tim Allen, maybe when he hops on here in like a half hour or so, there was one individual at my wedding who was 10x where everyone else was.
Fernando?
Not Fernando. Fernando had a good time. Fernando had a good time. Yeah, the individual that was 10x is the one that's getting married.
Oh, okay.
So I have a very, very, I don't have a lot to live up to, right? Like if I get that bad, then it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get into those territories. So like, this is going to be an interesting one where I'm just hanging out, left to my own devices, got to find a way to entertain myself. And by entertain myself doesn't mean I can hang out in Titletown too long over at Anduzzi's because I don't want to be the one that shows up and it's a bad spot. Like Kansas Ken said, Billy, I just had the same thing last year. My fiance was the maid of honor and I just got to relax. Well, Kansas Ken sounds like he did the right thing. Just relax. So am I just taking this as my one day out of the year? I mean, there's not going to be a little guy around. I might just be napping for like 5 or 6 hours.
You just wear really dark sunglasses.
Could I just get real?
Just have your eyes closed.
Well, I mean,
weekend at Bernie's.
There is a hotel room. I could just take a remarkably long nap if there's a relaxing situation in here. Or, like I said, I just starting vibing a little early. Like it's a difficult balancing act that I'm going to try to just level the waters and behave myself as much as I possibly can. 414-799-1973. Casey in the Falls. Make it a point to have your wife see you drinking a water. Easy cover. Casey, great call. Yes. Just mixing a water every once in a while and then it will look good. 920. The only line Nick will need to hear is yes. The only word you need is yes. Yes. Nick, Wedding Crashers isn't real. Wow. Nick can absolutely be a good time, even if he doesn't go and crash the wedding.
Crush my dreams. I thought that film was realistic.
Eric from Waukesha. Well, there are parts of that movie that are not as unrealistic as you would believe. Yeah, I will say that part. Eric from Waukesha. Damn. I envy Nick. No weddings attended. No Saturdays ruined. No sports events missed. Living the good life. Has Nick unearthed the best part of life, not attending weddings? That's actually a really good point that Eric and Waukesha brings up. Some people think it's a hole in your game. I think it might be a trophy in your case.
There we go.
That you've made it, 23 years of life without having to attend a ceremony of nuptials?
I'll make it to 24 for sure. It's not happening in the next 6 months. Maybe 25, y'all.
Come
We'll
on, let's
see.
see if we get to
Hey,
25,
and
26.
I
Hey,
have-
and if you're a friend of Nick's and you want to see him make it to 27,
Yeah.
leave that invite at home.
Yeah, don't invite me, everybody. I do have to say my siblings, who are all older than me, have really let me down. I mean, really. I got a 33-year-old brother, nothing yet.
Come on, man.
28-year-old sister, nothing yet.
Come on,
27-year-old
girl.
brother, nothing yet. I mean, seriously.
Oh my God.
And they all have significant others. They just
Oh,
aren't
so they're
married.
just slowly,
Yeah, I don't know
slowly
if it-
trotting
I
along.
don't know. I don't
Well,
know.
You might just have to be
I
in
might
them,
be
Nick.
the one.
That's what I'm
First.
saying. Like, it sounds like you might be the winner. John and Rhinelander said you are the winner because Nick is easily $1,000 richer.
At least.
Yeah, no gift cards, no cards with, oh man, do I got to throw the 50 or do I like them enough to throw 100 in this card? Yeah, you are richer. That's a life worth living. Nick has a trophy that I just unearthed in his case. I'm a big fan of that. 414-799-1973 on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. If you got ideas for me, like 414, get this stick on your eyes that go on the back of your eyelids. So when you're sleeping, it looks like you're awake. All right, 414. I like more tips like that. If you have more tips of
Tattoo
me
your
being
eyelids.
R-Candy this weekend, yeah, weekend at Bernie's has been mentioned. That is a possibility that we could go with. It is 9 to noon. That's Nick Brusewitz. I'm Billy Schmid. You're on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. Tim Allen steps by in 20 minutes, talks crew with us on the game.
And happy birthday, Frank.
Woo!
Brent from Franklin. Sorry, Frank. Maybe it's Frank's birthday out there. as
No,
well.
it's not Frank's birthday. It's Brent from Franklin's birthday.
We texted it in. Wish me a happy birthday. Eminem did with a new album, and it is fire.
All right, Brent and Franklin. Hey, happy birthday. Lions still suck. It's 9 to noon on the game. 9 to noon on the game. Thanks for hanging out. Always fun to be flanked by the future of the Game Radio Network, my man, the Bruiser, Nick Bruzowitz.
Appreciate that.
John Kuhn on assignment. He'll be back tomorrow, or back on Monday, I should say. None of us will be here tomorrow. Tomorrow is Saturday. And Nick, you're not working tomorrow, right? Your week run ends here today. They haven't given you a Saturday show to produce, maybe like a Faith in the Zone on Sunday on 920.
Fortunate enough that the run comes to an end for the week. 4 straight days at 6 hours a day.
Great work. Great work, kid.
I'm
proud
not there
of you.
yet. True. I got 5 more to go.
That's fair. And I'm going to make it hell on you here for the next 2.
I'm sure you will.
Yeah.
And Tim Allen's next, so I'm in for it. Well, I'll have an opportunity. I'm going to go to Shawano this weekend with my girlfriend and her family. I'll actually be off Monday and Tuesday, which is rare.
There we go.
I think I've missed 1 or 2 of the Heller shows since
You're doing
I started
it right.
last August. But you got to put in that grind. You got to
put in the work. You got to put in the grind. You got to run it. And especially you got to rest up because the grind is really going to fire up when Badger football starts up here in a few weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun stretch, I think, for everyone involved. Mike's going to be locked in with Packers, and then he'll turn right around and we'll go to Platteville for the Badgers football camp every day.
I was going to say, and you're going to be there for mostly every day. Now, they went from last year doing, 1 week to they did double it up to 2 weeks here this year.
I think.
Because Fickle was a massive fan of it. Yeah. And to be honest with you, the process of it, just seeing it firsthand, it ran really, really smoothly. So I'm not surprised that they wanted to double down and go back.
And they locked it down for another year next year as well. They'll be heading back to Platteville at least.
That's perfect.
Yeah, it's an opportunity for the guys to get away, but not get so far away, right? It's about an hour from Madison. They'll go over to Platteville. They'll enjoy themselves. We'll get to see some of my favorite guys from the spring football practices that I was able to attend. I made it to, I believe, 14 of their 15 or 13. I was going to
say, you were there pretty much every day. Yep.
A lot of really good additions that I think, if everything falls in place, this team could look a lot different, especially on the defensive side of the ball this year with tons of transfer additions at linebacker in particular.
Yeah, the linebacker transfers is big. I wanted to ask you about 2 guys there because you and I are both gamers.
Sure.
As the younger guys in this session. I am insanely juiced up for college football 25 to drop. And I have seen all the memes. I've seen all the tweets, people disparaging people like myself saying, oh, what? Just going to start ignoring your family and your wife and kid to go and play video games all day. Not all day. But when they go to bed at 9 o'clock, you better believe that I'm going to be parking in front of the 55-inch TV with the PS5, enjoying a dynasty mode here and there.
Yeah.
2 guys from the Badger defense get listed in the top 100 for overall players right now. Ricardo Holman, 61, I believe it was. Hunter Wohler in the 80s, somewhere in there, right? 91 maybe was that for
91 and 90.
91 and 90.
91 for Ricardo Holman and a 90 overall for Hunter Wohler, which I asked Mike about a couple days ago. I said, Mike, do you believe, that Rico is the best player on this team, Ricardo Holman? And he said, him, Waller, you look at him. I'd like to see Chez is what he said.
Yes. But 62nd rank out of 100 in the top 100, 91 overall.
91
Hunter
overall.
Wohler was 90 overall, 84th ranked player in the game.
There we go. Look at that. We covered all our bases there. If you want to know where they rank in the total players, we got you there. But their overalls, 91 and 90, the 2 best Badgers on the team, both on the defensive side of the ball. And they were the 2 guys last year on that side of the ball that really excelled. Right?
Big time.
Wohler had 120 tackles. He was their leading tackler at safety, which isn't as common as you would think.
Not what you would love.
Deep into the defense, into the secondary before the Badgers were able to make some tackles last year. And Rico had 7 interceptions, if I'm not mistaken. Otherwise, it was 5-6. But huge year for him. He was one of those dudes that there wasn't necessarily a guaranteed spot for him a couple years back. There was a report prior to last season that he was stepping away from the team, maybe going elsewhere. He's a South Florida dude.
Yeah.
Maybe he would go on down to where he's from. And then he locked in and he was their best defensive player last year. He was a problem. He had a pick 6 in that matchup earlier in the season. It was Indiana. I think it was about 100-yard interception.
Pick 6, 95-yarder against Rutgers.
Yep. Red team. Close enough.
2 picks against Purdue as well on the 22nd. Played in all 13 games. The 7 picks were the most for a Badger since your boy Shane Carter in 07. And for the most for a Badger corner since Jamar Fletcher grabbed 7 in 2000. Wohler is... I also think from just a competitiveness standpoint, from the program standpoint,
Yeah.
one of the most important things he did last year was the public kind of call out after that Northwestern game, right? Like you were down there, you felt Nick we talked about it on Tuesday at the golf event when Matt LePay introduced Mike Heller as having one of the strangest jobs in sports, where he gets to interview Coach Luke Fickell right after the game, right after he addresses the team.
Yeah.
People don't see or hear Nick Bruzowitz standing right next to Mike Heller, making sure that all the audio works, everything works out. There's video, there's all digital assets for it. So you get all the uncomfortable conversations and uncomfortable feels of it. That was chaos can be a good thing. And I do believe for the overall growth of what Fickell's trying to build, dudes like Wohler buying in and last year kind of doubling down saying, fellas, this is how it's going to be. This is how we have to operate.
Yeah.
If we are going to compete at the level we should be competing at. That might be one of the most important things he's done as a Badger. I think he's going to have hopefully great games coming up this year as well, and can stay healthy, because he's a player that just watching him from 16 years old to 21.
Yeah, you've had the opportunity, right?
It's insane growth. He's one of the best high school players hearing about and seeing, Nick, and he has continued to double it into the college game. So I'm excited for what both of those dudes in the back end are doing this year.
Yeah, Wohler is your stereotype version of what you want as a defensive leader. He is he is the prototype. He is a hard-nosed, will knock your head off, just spear you type safety. He is not afraid of contact. He's never been afraid of a challenge. The dude's traps are insane. Like, he wears the cutoff shirt at these spring practices. I'm like, his shirt is about 8 inches from his shoulders because his traps are massive. He is a stud. And he called out the team. He said, we have guys that even at this point in the season, which at that point, 9-10 games into the year practically, he's like, we don't have the full buy-in. We don't have people buying in.
Yep.
And you can't have that. You saw a ton of dudes leave the program following this past season, and they brought in guys that are more like-minded. You know, I touched base with Hunter multiple times about it throughout spring practice, and he felt like, no, these guys, and not to disparage others that are gone, but he felt like they're all on the same page. They all felt like they were going for the same goal. And that's important in a locker room that last year, rightfully so and understandably so. I mean, you're on your third coaching staff, or your second coaching staff, but your third head coach. You're recruited by guys who are no longer there. You're with guys coming in that tell you don't fit in their scheme. Amuma Jongmeta last year had a hell of a job trying to be the emotional leader on the defensive side of the ball. Well, his play style didn't really
wasn't
fit
what they were
anymore
looking for
with Mike Tressel's defense.
Yeah, and Muma is a great example of it, Nick. Like, there is going to be collateral damage is a bad way of putting it, but I think it's the easiest way to just clearly define what it ultimately ends up being, right?
Yeah.
Guys that are very good football players, but don't fit into what this era of Badger football is going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a difficult, understandably so, trusting transition there for players, right? Like, hey, I don't necessarily know that. I know this isn't what I do best, so I don't know exactly why I should trust that it's going to be good for the football team. Year two, you feel that another year and a full season with that collection of leaders around the athletes. I just think there's a lot better things going for Badger football. That being said, this sounds very apologist.
Sure.
Just because it's better this year doesn't mean the wins and losses record might be better, because that schedule is freaking awesome. It is an awesome schedule to just look at and think about. Me playing on NCAA Football 25. Not as awesome when you think about it, saying, oh, there's a real possibility, Nick, they're playing 3 top 10 teams at the time of those matchups.
Easy.
Very easily.
And I like to tell Mike, and he likes to give me what for it, but I'm like, USC is nothing. They weren't good last year with Caleb Williams. They're not going to be a problem. We're going to go to LA and we're going to beat them. And
they're going to win that game.
That's what I say. And Mike's like, oh, are you guaranteeing that? I'm like, I'm not guaranteeing it, but I'm pretty confident they'll win that game.
I think that is going to be a very, very good game. I also, and this is one that I do get laughed at. I said it when the schedule kind of came out, Nick. I think they're going to split that or the Alabama game.
Well, that would be fair, right? They host Alabama, and then they'll have a bye week, and then they'll head out to LA.
I'm sorry, the College of Charleston being a warm up for Kalen DeBoer's new Crimson Tide coming up to Camp Randall. That is not Nick Saban's Crimson Tide. Nick Saban, one of my favorite coaches of all time. He was talking about the program last night. He got himself an award last night at the ESPYs. We'll bring you at least one of the walk-off quotes from Coach Saban. And I quit asking. I'm not coaching college football anymore. Miss Terry and I are having way too much fun, taking walks, having honey buns. I ain't doing it. So quit asking. We're going to welcome Tim Allen into the conversation on the other side. He's Nick Bruswitz. I'm Billy Schmidt, talking crew with the host of the Baseball Postgame Show and host of Drew and KB today, Tim Allen, on 9 to noon right after this. All right, hour 2, 9 to noon. With all of you on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. That's 414-799-1973. Nick Bruzowitz to the right. I am Billy Schmidt inside the iHeart Megaplex Studios. This hour of the program brought to you by Happy Place Hemp and HappyPlaceHemp.com. Everybody relax. Enjoy the weekend. Delta 8, Delta 9 gummies. You'll really enjoy the weekend there if you fire one of those bad boys up. Strictly recreational. However, if you're just looking for a CBD, simple effects and the positive effects of CBD, you can go enjoy those. Also, if you're really looking to be able to have some good sleep, like I might be if I'm doing this arm candy thing in the middle of the day, just trying to relax. Maybe it's a sleepy time gummy. Take a nice little nap right in the middle of the day. HappyPlaceHemp.com has what you are looking for at a 25% discount when you use promo code Billy every single time off everything in your cart at HappyPlaceHemp.com. All right, my boy Tim Allen is joining us now as you hear that beautiful Ted Nugent bring him in. Tim, I still have wondered if this is. Have you guys gone to this? I know the band is really fired up with a lot more gigs. Have you taken my advice and led with this song? Because are you ever going to take any of my advice when it comes to this band thing? You have not changed the name to Tim Allen Band. You are not opening with Stranglehold. You still have not added any WAP by Nicki Minaj. Like, I mean, Cardi B. We're throwing these ideas out here, Timmy, and you're not taking any of them.
Well, I'm a little late in the game here. I just listened to Gin and Juice for the first time, so you got to give me a little time.
That should absolutely be a drop in there. That should absolutely be a spot in there for it.
Yesterday was a really interesting day, guys. With that Brewers game going on, it was just super interesting. Jim Polzin, we all know him, right?
Mm-hmm.
What a great guy. He hung out with me and went through the motions of what I do during a Brewers game.
I love that.
And Billy, you've seen it a million times.
Yep.
But it's like, oh, you gotta be, it's just constant.
So did you censor yourself at all, knowing that there was a dignitary in the mix? Were you able to calm yourself? Were there less 4-letter variety words or more?
I think so. I think I caught myself being a little bit lower keyed. Because,
sure.
The writer's here and he's observing.
Right.
And he's
don't want to make yourself look like a total psycho here during the middle of a 1-0 game. Yeah. I mean, one of the best. Yes.
Yeah. You've heard him on a lot of shows throughout the state here. And he's there's a little something cooking with him in the post game show. So stick around for that. But yeah, it was a tough day for the crew, and Skenes did it. He
what was that?
He called him Skenes, and I thought that was a little funny. I know what he's doing there.
What am I missing here?
Kind of sounds like something else.
Come on, Nick.
Tim's
can you guys get your heads out of the gutter here? This is a PG radio show here that we're trying to make jokes like that.
We like to have fun.
Timmy, but you mentioned Skenes. He was showing something yesterday, and I don't know if it was the Skenes. He being able to throw and pitch the way he did in the final 3 innings, I thought showed a lot about who he is going to be as a pitcher. Because I mean, there was 1 ball thrown over 100 miles an hour there yesterday. He was the main attraction. That being said, I'm sitting right down the third base line, and William Contreras almost ended the no-hitter, ended the shutout 5 feet away from a booming shot down the line.
Yeah, and well, that's the encouraging thing, that this was sort of, you're going to face those types of pitchers down the stretch and into the postseason. And I'm not going to add in assuming they make the postseason. I was looking at the latest odds, but did you see the odds on the latest updated odds on the World Series?
No, I haven't. I have not. I did not invest at the right time.
25-1 now, the Brewers.
They were 40 to 50 to 1 to start the season, if not better odds than that.
It's lowering.
Yeah,
it is lowering. But they're going to have to face guys like this. And Savali, that's the untold story here. He was outstanding,
big time. Yes,
dynamite, and that's why they went out and got a guy like that. Now, are both Savali and Dallas Keuchel going to end up in the rotation in a month, in 3 weeks, in 6 weeks? Don't know. I'm going to guess Savali will.
Yeah.
If he pitches anything like yesterday, that was outstanding. They were 1 swing. And again, this is going to go back to how many games they've been out of. Now, is that an inferiority kind of thing? Is that a loser mentality? Is that, Murph says it all the time. Hey, you can count on one hand the amount of games they weren't in the 7th and 8th innings of ball games. So that's the encouraging thing. And it says something about this team. Undaunted, I don't know how you guys took that, but if you look at the definition of that, it does kind of describe this team. Don't get discouraged. Don't get down. And don't doubt, because once you start doubting, they prove you wrong.
And Kuhn loved it. He was all over it, saying like just being able to find a message that resonates with not only the team, but also you can bring the smallest little personal story to connect to. You can just bring certain things out of players when you can have that kind of messaging and you can tap into that stuff that he seemingly has. Timmy, you mentioned the Savali piece, and Nick and I talked about it right away. I made no bones about it. I went yesterday because I wanted to see the Brewers hand Skeens' first loss. I wanted to see what the main attraction in baseball had been. That being said, Savali matched him damn near pitch for pitch, Timmy. And I just wonder if when you see, and Matt Arnold sees 20-something on our prospect board, high A ball, glove first, shortstop, second baseman. That's what it took for a guy who has club control next year, good spin, and we think that we can get better stuff out of. Like, I wonder if the success you see with Savali, Keuchel being able to give you a couple of quality starts here, and like you mentioned, however long that lasts, I just wonder if it allows them to say, you know what? We are really good at this. We are really good at this. Why don't we just grab a couple of no-namers instead of maybe give a little bit more for a guy with some name like Jonathan Scope and see if we can't catch more lightning in a bottle here in the midst of this season?
Well, and you have to measure it in that the longevity, that part of it, 6-7 weeks down the line, down the stretch. Hell, after Sunday, there's only 65 games left.
That's a crazy stat I heard you tell KB and Hunter yesterday. I cannot believe that.
It's just, how is this happening? It's so quick. And that's why a game like yesterday, you hang on every pitch and enjoy it and pinch yourself. And this team's good and all that. But yeah, I wonder too if they're going to be more tempted to go after, as they project down the stretch and into the postseason, a postseason series on the hill.
Sure.
Who's starting? Okay. Well, how do you feel about Savali starting a postseason game? I feel okay.
Yeah, I don't hate it.
On what he has been and what we've seen here in Milwaukee. What about a Colin Ray? You feel pretty good about that. You should be in that ball game, right?
Should be. Absolutely should be.
You have Freddie Peralta, who at any moment can just throw a gem. Now, it's been sporadic.
Any moment could give up 5 in an inning, but yeah. Yep.
Could, and then settle in.
Yep.
And then, Sue pitched great. But, you wonder if they're just going to sit tight with this and roll with that Tobias Myers to say, hey, how does he project into the playoff mix here? You feel okay with those guys? I'm going to say they're on the lookout for another starting pitcher, despite the acquisitions of Dallas Keuchel and Savali. And I'm not knocking Myers or Colin Ray or any of these guys. Maybe, Joe Ross comes into play here. Maybe DL Hall stops having the bad luck.
Yeah, he's had a rough go of it.
Jeez. But I still think they're on the hunt for a starting pitcher. If the right situation comes along, I think they'll do it.
Yeah, I think we agree. I think we all can agree on that they've got their eyes on more help. It's just a question of if they're going to go, swing for the fences, maybe a bigger name, which would require more assets given up, Tim. My question for you is maybe to circle back to yesterday's contest. They get a couple guys on. They can't get the bunt down. Is this an approach that infuriated you? Was this an approach that you're like, okay, well, we're going to take it because it's worked in the past? What did you make of that series of events?
Loved it. You got to get the bunt down. I mean, Andrew, you got to get that bunt down, man. I don't know that those situations are going to cost you a playoff win. Those situations could cost you a World Series loss. Those situations are going to be. I'm convinced if he gets that bunt down, that whole inning spins out of control for Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And now listen, I know that you're the captain of the bunt train here, but was there any thought of, I don't know, bringing in somebody without a 165 or 192 average? Was there any thought of maybe somebody that could hit an extra base hit like a Rhys Hoskins coming up there being pinch hit? Like totally understand the defensive situation, what have you. But I get where that's kind of been the way that they've played a little bit more, Timmy. But man, if they're going for the big inning, I was sitting there thinking, Churio and Hoskins just having their hands. Hey, Skip, we are over here. If you were wondering, we have gone down and hit a couple off the tee.
All right, so I don't know if he was going for the big inning there. I think he was going for 2.
Fair.
First of all, he was going for 1 to get this game.
Yeah, he was trying to get it tied.
He was, and you don't need a hit, and that's the whole debate: chicken or the egg, sabermetrics or your gut, who's hot, who's not. We can go all day long on those sorts of things. All I know is you're down 1. You need a run. You got to have a run, and just so you Bill James people realize it, you don't need a hit to get a run in that situation. You don't even need a hit. All you need is the bunt down and a fly ball, bunt down and a ground ball.
Yeah, but you lace one off the
wall.
1 hit scores 2, and you're winning the game, and you got McGill coming out 2 batters later.
But that's the bonus you take after the runners are over. That's you get an added feature. This is the way I look at it.
Sure,
you get an added feature. The next guy up. Okay, now you get a fly ball. You get it tied there at 1.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you get a base hit, now you take the lead. So, that's the way I look at it. Now, down the line here, do you think Pat Murphy will occasionally say, no, I'm going for the crooked number?
I'm going for the crooked number. I'm going for the big inning. And I wonder, Timmy, and this is the great debate about the sport. And I think we're getting to this point where more teams are no longer just saying, this is the way we do things, right? If this situation comes up right now, this is how we're going to do it. I like, if you're going to go on my side of, you always play for the big inning, you're not going to potentially give away an out with a bunt, then you're never going to play for 1 run. I think they've allowed a little bit more nuance over the majority of the league, where bases are easier to attain while you're on the base paths. You're able to go and steal an extra base. The teams are saying we can play for 1 run. And in other times, if it feels right, play for the big inning.
Yeah, strategy differences between Murph and the other guy. So, in a lot of respects, they're very similar. They're both winning. They're both winning managers.
Yeah,
right. I mean, they're literally.
How much fun are you taking? And now, obviously, the last week or so has not been as pleasurable to witness what the Northsiders have done, because they've gotten at least a little bit more awoke over the last couple of days. But how much have you enjoyed that 45-49 ball club?
Oh my gosh. I mean, my goodness. It's just I couldn't have drawn it up any better. Okay, our team's in first place, and where are they? They're in dead last.
Dead last.
Tied.
Yeah, dead last.
Tied.
Okay. See, that's
they're
what I
tied
like
for 4th,
because it gives you. That's a victory for you.
It's huge
down in Chicago.
It's a big day.
Yeah, that we're tied. We're not in.
And we're all Cubs fans for the rest of the weekend, right? We're all Cubs fans for the rest.
No
of
one
the
is,
because the Cardinals and the Cubs are taking each other.
Yeah,
you want the Cards to lose here.
Still no.
But that's the fun factor in being a fan. And there's nothing wrong with being a fan. There's no personal shot at the guy. There's no personal shot at any of those players down there. It has nothing to do with good human beings, good character, or otherwise.
Oh, I bet they're all great guys. Yeah.
I'm sure they are.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure they are. And, but it's okay to root against another team. It doesn't mean that, that's Bush League. You shouldn't do that. Or here's the good one. Well, that's not nice.
It isn't very nice, Timmy. It's not very nice. You should think about people's feelings before you start doing that.
I forgot about that.
So were you at all surprised when Derek Shelton makes the move at 99 pitches to yank Skeens?
It shows you the difference in the eras we observe baseball.
Mm-hmm.
It's a different kind of game. And people say, well, how's it different? That's one of the examples right there. Well, it's different because there's replay. It's different because starting pitchers don't go long. It's different in a number of different ways. And that's one of them. Someone brought up, I think it was yesterday on the show. Could you imagine someone goes out there to take Roger Clemens out of that game? Phil Niekro, one of the Niekro guys, just
Nolan Ryan, sure.
Nolan Ryan, the curmudgeons, these veteran getaway. They just give the look. They give the look to the manager, like,
no chance. Sure,
gonna do it. It's like your mother when you're like 8. No, the eyeball. And now it's a little bit different. And so 99 pitches. I think these managers, to some degree, are messing with their personal history, their accolades. Man, they worked all this way to get where they're at, and they're good. And you have a chance to make history. There's really, quite frankly, not that many no-hitters thrown. How many this year? Anybody raise their hand on no-hitters this year? A grand total of 1.
Yeah, one of them. Well, and Timmy, I heard it yesterday, and immediately I kind of spouted back because I get it. I do. I didn't think he was going to come back out, but now this is also I've now watched my favorite team get no hit for 7 innings by 2 different rookies in the same season. So maybe I got to stop going to games in person this year.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah. I was there for the Ben Brown experience, and then I was there yesterday. So maybe Brewers, I'll stay home and watch on Bally's for the last 65 odd games. But I don't know how Nolan Ryan would have reacted. However, if Nolan Ryan was in, say, Hunter Green's situation where now he's got an all-star game under his belt, or think about Corbin 2 years ago. If Nolan Ryan, who I think the highest yearly salary he had was $4.2 million, if he knew that he was going to get $300 million in a year or so, as long as he doesn't get pulled, I know that's not a perfect science here, but to show how different the game is, I just wonder if the athletes are more accepting to it, Timmy, because they're businessmen, dude. They understand what's on the line. And sure, I don't fully know that if I throw 24 more pitches, I'm going to need Tommy John surgery in 2 months, right? There's no perfect straight line that adds that up. But I can trust that they know that I might be closer to it if I go there, that guys are just at least a little more accepting to it because the money is just so different than it was at that particular point in time that people are glorifying about.
It's a great point. The significance of that part of it can't be understated here. It has to be in the conversation. Another example of that would be our buddy Josh Hader.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
He was not going to let any manager burn him out.
Yep.
Why? Because he hadn't gotten the big deal yet.
Yep. Didn't get the cash yet.
Have you noticed once he signed that big deal, he said, use me the way you want. I'm here to help the team. 93
team
million
player.
reasons to help this team any way you want. But I would like to know. Now, I haven't sat down and done a lot of reading and prep work for the baseball thing or the afternoon show today. But
that's a hell of a tease here 5 hours away. I'm fired up for it now.
I will though. But I want to know if you guys had the early bird special on this. We have to consider in the same conversation the player himself. Did he have the conversation with Shelton that said, hey, I'm good. You do what you need to do. I'm good. So a lot of times we think it's the manager.
Yeah.
It may be the player.
Yeah. In listening to Shelton post game, I follow a couple of guys in Pittsburgh. Filipponi hits nationally, and I'm a fan of his. He does afternoons in Pittsburgh. He was losing his absolute mind.
Yeah, he's not a big fan of
losing his mind, pulling him. But listening to Shelton, it kind of sounded like, Timmy, he was trying to cover that part of it up where Paul said, hey, man, I'm going to do what you need. But yeah, I'm a little bit gassed, right? When he says, you could just read it last couple innings, he was tired, man. You could tell he was tired. You could almost hear he was trying to cover for his guy saying, I knew that he was getting close to the end and he didn't have to tell me no.
Yeah, well, okay. And I hope I don't hear one of these players. I'm just that way. I hope I don't hear one of these players say, hey, I went to him and I was just done. No hitter, smo hitter. It doesn't matter. I was done.
No, I really didn't want to. No, I wasn't that excited about it.
I don't want to hear that from pro athletes.
Well, I definitely don't think you're going to hear that from him. I think you could hear it from Shelton saying yeah, he told me in some uncertain terms that it was close to the finish line. All right, Timmy, that's a lot of baseball here. I know you're going to have a lot of baseball coming up here when you fill in for Drew and KB 3 to 6. Nick Brusewitz, he's in the brotherhood of loving fantasy football. Who's your number one pick right now?
I'm a little afraid to go McCaffrey. You know that? I just father time, even though short, he's not a 15-year veteran. I'm a little nervous about McCaffrey. I am really interested in where Saquon goes because
there'll be some
second vultures vulture touchdowns by Hurts. We all know that.
Yep.
But I think he could have a monstrous season.
Well, he's got an offensive line now. That'll help.
Got
that
a
will
real
help.
good offensive line, but that offensive line is also missing the guy right in the middle that may have made it all go in Jason Kelsey. Timmy, we got to sit down one of these times and do a fantasy football special because I just realized that I still have like 6 leagues that I'm going to have to draft in, and I got a couple of dynasty ones with the second pick. Second pick's the easiest way. I can just
Rookie drafts?
Rookie draft. So I can let somebody take Williams, and then I just get gifted
Harrison.
Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 2.
Harrison went 1 in mine. Caleb went 2.
Weeks from right now,
mere
Timmy.
Weeks you're doing fantasy football. You know me, I always stumble out of the blocks in fantasy football because I'm into this Brewer thing.
Yeah.
24 championship season. Come on.
And then this son of a gun just picks it up in November. Like, how on earth did you? Wandale Robinson. Okay, sweet. Timmy's running him out there, and he's getting 12, 13 a week. Interesting. Okay, that makes sense as a rookie star. You got that fantasy football thing figured out. You got this post-game thing figured out. I'm fired up to figure out whatever you and Jim Polzine got cooking up, but I know this weekend is going to be a good one. Sprint through the finish line here the first half, Timmy. Don't do a Brewers Craig Counsell-esque slide into the All-Star break. Let's finish strong with 3 big ones and some wins against the Nationals, all right?
That'd be huge. I'll see everyone today at 3.
All right, there's Tim Allen. You will talk and hear him at 3 o'clock. Talk with him on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line. Listen to him on the Drew and KB Sports Talk Network, which, from what I've heard, fastest expanding sports and stuff show in the state of Wisconsin.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's incredible how they continue to just hold and stranglehold that spot.
It's the riveting, deep detailed conversations they have about each of the sports teams that really pushes them over the edge.
That and the difference between Kirkland and Skippy Peanut Butter from 3 to 6. Those are big time moves and differences that you got to change up. All right, so Nick Bruzewitz seemed to agree when Tim Allen had hesitancy on Christian McCaffrey 1-1 in fantasy football. I want to dig into that on the other side here. I, for one, love it. I think more of our listeners on the talk and text line love it. I don't know if it's as much of a slam dunk as has been in years past. Who's round 1, pick 1 in the 2024 fantasy draft? Nick and I give you our couple of names, a couple that might surprise you on the other side. It's 9 to noon on the Game. 9 to noon on the game. Billy Schmid in, John Kuhn out, Armin Sarian out, Nick Bruzewitz in, wearing some massive shoes here today, but filling them in a fantastically well done role. And you on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line 414-799-1973. Yeoman's work here so far. JB in the 920 sent this one in, and I saw it earlier today. I don't know if there are many better days that you could have if indeed you're the Diamondbacks fan last night who had an investment on an Eugenio Suarez home run, catches the home run ball that ends up winning him. I believe if you look at it here, a $50, $60 wager ends up winning him about $400. Catch the home run ball that wins the bet. That is, as JB said, seems like a bucket list thing for you, Billy. Yeah. Catching a home run ball would be a bucket list thing. Winning a $400 bet on a home run prop, also close to a bucket list thing. Yeah. I'm not throwing that much down on home run props. However, if indeed I did, and that plays out, hey man, that guy had himself a fantastic night. Hopefully he didn't go to Old Town Scottsdale though, because then he lost all that money. All that money that he had just won on that home run ball is gone in like 2 rounds. If he went down to Scottsdale after the game and celebrated, just stay in that area in downtown Arizona if indeed you want to do that. But 1-0 game last night, I think it ended up being, with the Braves and Diamondbacks. He not only ends up catching the home run that wins the game, wins his bet. Yeah, that's a pretty dang nice night to have at the ballpark. That works out in a 1-0 game.
Yeah, I think the odds on that, the odds of hitting the bet and then the odds of catching a home run, you compare them together, you're talking about winning the lottery.
About the craziest kind of props.
It's unlikely. Get, to say the least, it's unlikely that you're going to get that.
Especially, all due respect to Eugenio Suarez and his family, lower on the totem pole there. Tim from Cudahy on the talking text line dropped us with this one. The $76 billion for NBA games over 11 years. I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. Having to pay for all the streaming services and what advertisers will pay for commercials. Who do you think ultimately will be paying for this? And put this screenshot up that was trending yesterday of how much it'll actually cost if indeed you get all the streaming services to watch all of the NFL games this year. Your 5 months of $6 a month for Peacock, $15 a month for Amazon Prime, $7 at least for Netflix to get in there. ESPN Plus, there will be games on as well this year. That's $11 charge. NFL Plus Premium, $22. Times it up for the 5 months, whatever. He's like $670 to watch all the NFL games this year. I get it. Mm-hmm. It's a lot. I get it. It's more. I feel bad saying it this way because people are going to think it sounds really, really just lacking some kind of remorse for it. It ain't changing. Like I know that we can fetishize and talk about how much better it was when, well, these games, I just watch the games on Fox. That's fine. In the NFL, guess what is also glad you are. Thank you for it, right? Like, I mean, I know that we believe that enough frustration and angst about it will change it. Nick, that toothpaste is never going back in the tube. They're going to put more games on streaming services because streaming services are going to spend more money to try to drive subscribers to their spot. Like, it is the greatest, their sport, their product, the NFL, their games are the most in-demand entertainment product in the world, or at least in North America, where we're focusing on. So they're only going to continue to sell it for more and more money. They're only going to spread the games further and further out to more and more different distributors. So like getting angry about it to me feels like yelling at the fact that it's raining outside. Like it's going to happen. It's only going to continue. Yeah. You can be upset about it, but I don't think it's going to change. It's just going to aggravate you even more and maybe turn you off to a sport that you really, really like.
Well, it's an angle too, right? Where the NFL is covering their bases. If we're being honest, as people continue to, in flocks go away from cable, these streaming services are already in your back pocket, right? This little chart here proving and showing the value that you would have to pay for all the services is as if you don't have them already. If I look at this list, I have YouTube TV, I have Peacock, I have Prime, I have Netflix. So then, okay, I'm adding maybe another $33 a month if I want ESPN Plus and NFL Plus, which are, I believe, by a mile, the most rare occasions for games to be on those.
I agree
right?
with you.
I think there were a couple last year. They were NFL Plus exclusive. ESPN Plus, I don't know if there was an exclusive ESPN Plus game last year.
Not that I remember. I do believe they're getting 1 to 2 this year. It may have been one of the Saturday games late in the year, if indeed there was an ESPN Plus exclusive one last year.
Long story short, I mean, this is the reality that we're all going to get used to, right? And it's a little bit harder for folks who spent 50, 60 years watching it one way than it will be for us, right? You've watched it, 20 years one way, and I've watched it 10 years another way, right?
Well, and Nick, but it's also tough for me to go back and see that people used to watch the game without the score on it.
Yeah, true.
Right. Like, it blows my mind that you used to watch a game and not know how much time was left in the quarter, what quarter it was, what the score was, right? Like, so, I mean, the broadcast continues to evolve. It continues to change. This one, is it more advantageous for the consumer? No. Like, if that's what you want to hear, there you go. I can agree that it stinks for the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
But being upset about it, continuing to gripe about it year in and year out, saying, well, this is ridiculous. You're only taking years off your life. You're only taking days off your life being upset about something that is never changing and not going to, one, I don't really think it's going to matter all that much. Where if indeed you miss Ravens, Browns, does that change people's lives?
Well, that's
it might. If you believe it will, then get NFL Sunday ticket.
And if there's a concern level for Packers fans about catching Packers games, right? For example, if you're not in the market, if you're not in Milwaukee, Green Bay area, in Madison, I'll have to have Peacock to watch the season opener. Yeah. Well, you know what's never behind a paywall? 97.3 The Game.
Come on, Nick.
That's and Wayne Letterman.
Yep. You better
in our
coverage.
That. And the live coverage of every Packers game right here on our station, right on the Game Network. So you're going to have an opportunity. You're going to have an opportunity to listen. And Wayne's better than anyone on TV. I'll call it right now. So
yeah, I'm with you on that.
It is disappointing that the hard part for me, I'm not too beat up about the price. It's just like, okay, so what is it on today?
I like
it's on Prime. Okay,
yeah.
Prime.
Okay, sweet. Now I'll go and fire that one up.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, the frustration for me is it's tougher to channel surf. It's tougher to check something else out in the middle of a commercial.
Multiple screens. I usually on a Sunday I'll have 3 screens, my laptop and 2 TVs, and then I'll be able to do everything I need to do. But yeah, it is much tougher to surf game to game, back in the day. And hopefully I can get my mom in on this. We had Sunday Ticket for forever on DirecTV.
Okay.
And there's that big old lawsuit. I'll have to walk her through it.
You might get some cash in that.
Maybe my mom will get some money back.
Might get some cash in that. I only had it for 2 years. So I'm looking at, maybe like $14-15.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm pretty excited about it.
My mom had it for the entirety of that.
Florio had to say that it was going to be, might say upwards of like 5,000 to 6,000 per person if you had it for all those years. Mike, love you. There's no chance. I'm sorry. I don't think people are getting that much cash throughout it. 414-799-1973. Curtin Grafton. I used to drop $400 on NFL Ticket. So I stream it all, Nick. I get the games. I love the big game fantasy football. I got no problem paying up. It's tough.
Yeah, we're going to
920. Never change. But just another reason to hate you. I live on a fixed income. Total bull. Hey man, I'm sorry. Like I get it. I completely understand. But if that's going to change you being a fan of the NFL, I don't believe you. I don't believe you that you say, well, I'm just not going to watch games anymore. If this is how much it's going to be, I'm just not going to watch. Well, okay. That's going to be you. And you'll end up coming back. Because the NFL has seen it time and time again. 414-799-1973. It's 9 to noon. We will be discussing some more NFL with my man Aaron Nagler. He stops by in 20 minutes from Cheesehead TV. It's 9 to noon on The Game. 414-799-1973. It's 9 to noon. That's the NicolaLaw.com talking text line. I'm Billy Schmid. Nick Brusewitz to the right inside the Iron Jock studios. David and Mequan, you guys are so oversubscribed. The NFL became more dominant by being available to everybody for decades. It'll be like boxing and baseball at some point. I worked with all these people for decades. Baseball was the number one TV rated sport in America into the turn of the century. Not now. David, I also think baseball players used to be some of the most popular athletes in the world. Not now, right? Like, I mean, that's where the drive and the demand for sports across the country are. Baseball is such a regional sport now that, I mean, there's a reason why their television contracts are all regional based. Like, I'm much more inclined to watch a NBA game on Tuesday night between the Nuggets and Magic than I am of, I don't know, Rays Astros. Just like the marketability and the stars and the national exposure that the sport gets. It's one of the reasons why. And clearly numbers don't always matter, right? Like the NBA ratings went down. They've kind of continued to be a little bit laxed. And it's got 11 years, $76 billion because the inventory is too important right now. I'm not saying that at some particular point in time, the money doesn't level off. I kind of thought it would with the NBA, this deal. And then I got slapped in the face with the reality that right now, the most valuable entertainment product is live sports. I had somebody, Nick, on Twitter reach out at Bill Schmid Radio. This is from Sean K 91974. You sound like a guy that gets paid to watch sports, so you spend your money to do so. I grew up with sports, and they have, aside from baseball, proven to be an inferior product. I come from cinema, and I don't pay for any of them. It's garbage. So I got a little confused because I'm not that smart. So I was like, wait, are sports garbage or is cinema garbage?
Cinema.
He said both.
Oh,
both. And making people pay money they don't have to see an inferior product is bull of a business model. I just hated your take that just abide it. It ain't changing. Well, yeah, until you don't pay for 10 services, it won't. I'm more concerned with raising a kid, not sports. Again, these are all decisions people can make for themselves. I applaud and congratulate you if you do. I just think we've seen consistently across, people are going to watch the NFL. People are going to, hell or high water, find ways to watch the NFL. The Netflix game. Nobody is paying $150 million for one broadcast.
Except
3
for
hours.
Netflix, yeah.
Except for Netflix. You know why? Because they believe people, not only in America, across the world, are going to pay and try and get those games. Somebody on the talking text line immediately, Nick, said, well, if they don't get your money, they'll go find it somewhere else. They'll go international and grab some more cash from them. Roger and Franklin, they'll continue to squeeze every bit of cash out of you until it's all dried up. Then they'll go off to another revenue source, other countries. They're already expanding to other countries. The game is continuing to try to go global. Like, I understand that it is not the easiest thing to enjoy. I don't necessarily enjoy having all these different streams, but like, I look at it right here. Just ended up with Netflix.
What's up, Matt?
Had YouTube TV. Had Amazon Prime. Sure. Had Peacock. Like, it does add up. But I was one of the first people that decided that I was no longer going to go cable. So I had to go to the streaming services. So you can then say that it's going to be greener on the other side. No, right now, this is where it is. Like, it's continuing to grow. They're making too much money from other outlets to go away from where they're at this exact moment. It was built on fans, and all fans are not now you streaming clowns. Again, I kind of disagree. Like, I think the majority of the younger fan as well that the league is trying to continue to grab, they are streamers. They are streaming more. What are we laughing at here?
Did Armin just text in?
Wow, now I can't raise my kid properly if I watch sports, from Armin Sarian. Damn, what a take.
we got Matt and Appleton on hold. You wanted to chime in before we head to break.
Let's hear from Matt. Matt, you're up on 9 to noon. What do you got on this, man?
hey, my thought is if you calculate what you pay for cable every month at 100 plus, you're over 1,200 plus. If you just do the streaming, that 650 figure is half the cost. Since I cut the cord, I'm net ahead. NFL can do whatever it wants. I'm streaming it and I'm saving money.
And you're probably getting almost all the games if you have these streaming services, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I like, and Matt, I appreciate it. Like, I know that it is, and I go with this and I talk about it with my folks all the time. Right. Now where's the game going to be on? Like you said, Nick, it's almost more of confusion as to where can I watch the game than do I have it? Yeah. Hey, if you don't have Netflix and you're fine not watching the Chiefs and Ravens or is it Chiefs and Steelers, Ravens and somebody else on Christmas Day, that's fine. Make the choice. That's cool. But I do know that when the ratings come out and the numbers come out, it's going to be like 15 some million people ended up watching it. 20 some million people ended up watching it. Like if we do believe that I'm going to stop. I'm going to stop watching. And more people are going to do it. And this game and this sport is going to die because we're not watching because they're putting a game on too many different services. Just I don't see that happening. I will sit here hand raised in air if indeed it does. And you can all make fun of me on the NicoletLaw.com talking text line of 414-799-1973. And I will be excited. I enjoy when people dunk on me and yell at me for being wrong. Matt in Milwaukee probably not going to like the news that I'm going to announce right now. Paul Skeens has officially been named the starter for the National League in the All-Star game. Torey Lovolo announcing that a couple of minutes ago. He is the starter. He did it on MLB Network. That becomes a rookie to start the All-Star game. First one since Hideo Nomo did it back in, I believe, the 90s.
Hey, congrats to Paul Skeens. He's been outstanding.
Remarkable to be able to see it. And it's also hilarious when you look at the contract numbers of all the players that are going to be in this All-Star game. Skeens is going to start it. And as a rookie, he's making the league minimum. He's going to be like the least paid guy on the team with all of these all-stars. Like when Pete Alonso ended up making like double his yearly salary for winning the home run derby when he did it as a rookie. 414-799-1973. All right. Somebody that's going to have some takes on this NFL side of the conversation and the streaming service. I know my man Aaron Nagler likes to dip his toes into this conversation. We're going to talk some Packers football when my man Aaron Nagler from Cheesehead TV stops by, joins the chat, and joins the stream on YouTube and X right after this. It's 9 to noon, hour 3. Best one yet. Coons can't miss. 20 minutes away right here on the Game. Welcome back. Hour 3. It's always our best one of the day. We have that ability where we can peak at the right time. We can try and get better. We can continue to elevate our performance at the later end of the season. This is the last spot of the week, so it needs to be our absolute best. That means we need some help. Call in some reinforcements and drop some Hall & Oates. That means my man Aaron Nagler is going to wake up 12 American, 11 Cornfield here to join us for hour number 3 at 9 to noon. What's going on, brother? How are you feeling today?
Sir, how are you? Happy to jump into the fray. I mean, we're still, a couple 2-3 weeks away from any real football to talk about, but man, always a joy to talk to you. Thanks for having me.
Well, how about this, Nags? I didn't realize I was going to step on this pine cone. I did not realize I was going to aggravate so many people just before you pop on, talking about the NFL, talking about streaming, talking about the countless different places that you'll be watching NFL football. Now, let me just, I don't want to speak for you, so I'll tell you what has aggravated many when I said, I'm sorry. It's not changing. So quit asking, right? They're going to continue to put more games on streaming. It's going to continue to cost you more money. I know it's not good. I know you don't like it, but they're getting the money. So I'm sorry if you're not going to watch the game. Good on you. I will be. And I think like 25 to 30 million people as well will be. It's not going to affect them, but maybe it will. Maybe you guys are all right. And you can dunk on me in 20 years because the NFL is going to go the way of baseball and boxing.
As if.
I just don't see it.
There's a great Radiohead song called Just, where the basic hook of the song is you do it to yourself, just you. And that's what NFL fans have done. They know you're going to watch. You're going to say you're not going to watch, but you're going to watch. They've got games coming up on Netflix this year. I mean, it doesn't matter. If there is a company that has the ability to stream, the NFL will take their money. And you, the consumer, will pay whatever it is to see these games. Like, if you don't, like you said, Bill, I'm with you, man. Like, good on you. Great.
Good on you.
I'll see you on Monday. Like, I'm going to be watching football, no matter where it's played, how it's streamed, how it's presented. And that, to your point, that is not changing.
Yeah, and I'm not good for the problem, right? Like they know they have me hook, line, and sinker. I have a sick, twisted love affair with the National Football League. I know it. Right. So I will be. Like, I'll find a way to watch the game. I'm probably going to be betting on the game. I'm going to have some kind of fantasy player and some kind of fantasy implication in the game, right? Like, so I'm going to be invested in.
Their hooks are in you. They are in you. Yes.
And I don't mind them. I don't mind the hooks.
I actually like the way they feel.
I mean,
it's
if
what's
you're
that,
into
what's
hooks,
that,
I mean, it's
that line from Say Anything. I want to get hurt. Like, I'm in. I like the pain. Give it to me. I mean, I keep coming back, so clearly I enjoy it.
So a little bit of pain last night. I don't know what this is now, Nags, it went from police blotter season into the NFL to content season, right? Everybody goes on podcasts. Everybody now either has some kind of reality TV show around the NFL. So interesting time. I mean, they're now showing a television show of guys making phone calls in an NFL building. Shows how much demand there is with the Hard Knocks offseason. But the pain last night was opening up the wound of the divisional round game when I was watching the receiver show. Realizing, again, we know that the 49ers are going to be the team that you have to go through to get to the ultimate prize of the NFC.
Yes, sir.
But seeing that part and seeing how close and how much real seemingly doubt there was on the Niners sideline, man, it made that even more disappointing to realize just how close you were to not only shocking the world, I mean, just completely throwing a dagger into the belief that franchise has right now that they're going to be able to grab themselves another ring.
I love everything about that series. I especially love the fact that, the Packers would never probably allow one of their guys to be on that. I think they would strongly discourage them from participating, etc. But all of these teams seemingly face the Packers. So you've got, the 49ers bit, like you're saying there, but you've also got Amon-Ra St. Brown and the Lions talking about the Packers and featuring the Packers. And then you've got, Justin Jefferson obviously faces the Packers. Davante Adams faces the Packers, his old team last year. So despite the Packers not wanting to be involved, they are all over this series. And to your point, the 49ers bit was tough. There's no doubt.
It was tough.
But I will say it is very intriguing watching the buyer's remorse from Davante Adams kind of happen, laid out, stretched out in front of you over the course of the series. So there's some pain there, but there's also some, you could have stuck around there, buddy. There's a little sprinkling of everything there for Packers.
I was going to say, can you feel any sense of sympathy in your heart for Davante? Like, obviously he made the decision. You mentioned it. There's clear buyer's remorse. I thought the very telling one, and no spoilers for anybody that hasn't gotten this far. I apologize. I got yelled at that on here yesterday for that.
There yet.
When he just speaks to, I just didn't cherish winning as much. Right. Like, I mean, he just says, like, I didn't realize how important winning was and celebrate that kind of winning. Like, it's an eye-opening experience. We can laugh about the fact that, he sure would like to be catching balls from Jordan Love instead of Aiden O'Connell, but just what value and how much winning added to your enjoyment of playing football. That was the part where I did kind of feel a little sympathy saying, man, yeah, I wish you would have understood how much fun it is to be winning and being as competitive as you had been.
Look, I think he undoubtedly feels that sting, right? But I do suspect underneath it all, he still thinks and probably believes he made the right move as far as being closer to his family, being in an environment that's much more him. I mean, there wasn't much more of a kind of sticking out point than like when the guys would come across the street from Lambeau to the Hudson Center. Some guys would hang out in like, trucks, or, Aaron would go across in his golf cart with Bakhtiari. And then there was Davante, who would come over in his like $1 million sports car. It was a little different. It was a little let's just call it out of place for Green Bay, Wisconsin. So I think he's in a spot where it's much more his vibe, right? Now, what's interesting about what you're talking about, juxtaposing him and his kind of, airing those thoughts as far as winning and what it means to your psyche, right? Josh Jacobs appeared on a podcast recently talking about the Raiders trying to get him back and asking him to take a pay cut and all this stuff. And he's like, I want to take a pay cut to come back and lose? Like, I want to win. Nope. I want to go out there, find a team that's going to compete and win ball games and pay me for my services while doing so, right? Like, it's just fascinating to me because we know money is the thing, right? There's no doubt the guys are going to go where the money is. There's zero question there. But it ain't like it doesn't affect them. The idea of I can't handle losing anymore, especially if you're Josh Jacobs and that's all you've known, essentially.
All you've ever known.
In your NFL career. Like, I want to go somewhere and win some games. So,
and especially, Nags, when you come from a place where all you do is win, right? When the success in college can't somehow match where you're at now, I understand how guys struggle with that, and
I mean,
being able
he
to.
came from Alabama. Can you imagine? Can you
It's insane.
fathom going from Alabama to the Raiders, the current Raiders? Like, no thanks. Check, please.
Not even just how the games are going, Nags. Think
Right.
about when he got drafted to the Oakland Raiders, where they were
Yeah.
playing in the Alameda
Yep.
Coliseum. Think about
Yep.
going from Bryant-Denny Stadium to the Alameda Coliseum, being like, wait, hold on.
Wait,
This is what
what?
we call professional football. This is professional football.
Right,
This is where we get
That's
paid.
what you're
to do
calling
things.
it? That's what you're
Got
calling
it.
it.
Okay.
Okay.
Interesting. That's Aaron Nagler. This is a mix from the Carry the G radio show, the podcast, which is on Cheesehead TV, and you can find wherever you get your podcasts with myself
sir.
and Aaron Nagler. And this is 9
Nice.
to noon in hour number 3, where we are meeting here. And Nags, you talk about Amon-Ra St. Brown being a part of that series.
Yeah.
Him talking about that Packers game and the Thanksgiving victory that changed the course of the 2023 season for the Packers. He had been quite honest in saying, I think we all took the Packers a little light on offense. That would at least be an intriguing thought to knowing how they've improved, at least how we believe on paper they've improved on the defense, to the defense was the one that caught them off guard, and we're a team that was in a group that was getting slept on a year ago. Again, adds into the fact of not only the job and the position being one of the reasons why Jeff Hafley was intrigued. I think what he saw on tape was also maybe one of the reasons why this was the position that he would have been most interested in.
What's fascinating about that Thanksgiving game is everyone remembers the kind of fast start on offense, touchdowns to Watson. AJ Dillon had a great game. Jordan Love was outstanding. But what's interesting is a lot of that is set up. A lot of the offensive production, or at least the field position, is set up because of the takeaways on defense and because of the work up front. If there's a game, if you're Jeff Hafley and you're looking at that front four in that game, they are so active. They pester Goff all game long. And that's in their house against one of the, if not the best offensive line in the league. So that's what I talk about a lot on Cheesehead TV. It's like, that's the standard, or that should be the standard for your front four. That's I'm not going to say dominance, because I'm a Packers fan. I've known only pain on the defensive side of the ball for decades. I don't want to jump right to dominance. I'd like to get there eventually. But Jeff Hafley, just consistency. If you could get that kind of performance week in and week out, then you're cooking with gas. Then you've got something. Then you got a stew going. But then you got something, right? With whoever it's been, defensive coordinator wise, for the last X number of years, it's just been, you never really know what you can hang your hat on defensively. And if you get something consistent up front where you're causing problems against one of the best lines in the league, and you're doing that week in and week out, you're cooking. You're finally cooking on defense in Green Bay.
Aaron, yesterday on the Mike Heller show, I may have misrepresented your comments centered around Jordan Love and his contract coming up.
I blame Tyler Herrick. That's not your fault, sir. I blame Tyler Herrick, our social person, for framing it wrong online. So there you go.
Tyler, you jerk.
So I just want to double down and get your impression on Love's contract situation, on if you do believe there's a legitimate chance he might sit out instead of practicing.
If the contract extension isn't done by the time he is set to report, that is the one kind of arrow in his quiver as a player to utilize. And he was asked directly about that in the locker room during the offseason. And, it was a very curt, short answer, but he didn't shoot it down. He certainly didn't say, no, I'll be here, like Davante Adams did that final year coming into Green Bay. I literally asked Davante about that, and he said, no, man, I'm paid to play and I'm going to be here. Jordan didn't say that. So I am of full belief. And this is the other thing. This is the part that Tyler completely regarded as immaterial, which is the most important part. I 100% expect an extension to get done prior to the end of next week. That is going to get done. But if it doesn't, then yes, I think there's a decent possibility that Jordan Love doesn't show up.
Well, and I think the interesting part of that dynamic would be, whose idea it is, right? Like it's clearly a push from David Mulugheta, where
Oh, of course.
you,
Mulugheta
where,
is
I
not
mean,
leaving anything on the floor, and he's telling
not
Jordan,
a cent.
you are not
no,
going out there and twisting an ankle or bumping knees or having your shoulder fall on the ground the wrong way, and then you're just destroying your market value. Like, no chance on earth he allows that to happen. That's
like
my thought.
yeah, and Nags, I mean, this gets forgotten about in how toxic and understandably so and strange and deranged the Deshaun Watson contract and situation became.
Man.
Remember though, when all of that started, before that started, Deshaun Watson told the Texans, "I'm never playing another game for you." So like that is this is the agent that said that after a guy led the league in passing yards and it already gotten broke off. So to think that David Mulugheta says, "Hey, Jordan,
Go
I
ahead.
know they love you right now.
Go out
I know
there.
they love you right now.
It'll get
Tell
done.
them you're not going.
Don't
Yeah.
worry about it. Yeah, that ain't happening. No
Don't worry. Go
chance.
throw a couple of balls in the bucket, run some wind sprints, do the conditioning test. Nothing bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
It'll be okay.
Enjoy time with your fiance.
Yeah, enjoy some time. Go in and, just go like business is normal, and we'll figure this stuff out on the back end. That's not his business model, man. And if anybody is going to tell him, hey, we're going to have to play hardball here, and we will, I think the agent is Mulugheta to do it.
Although, who knows? Maybe he does like a sit down.
Which is the new thing
like
in the
TJ
NFL, right? The
Watt
hold
did,
in deal. Yeah.
Hold in. Yeah, exactly.
Do you
Shows
think
up, but
could
doesn't
at all-
really participate, blah, blah, blah. Who knows? I mean,
Could that at all, when you're rocking the Power of Love shirt yesterday on the Steve Zabin show, which we were a huge fan of here on this program,
thank you, sir.
could that at all curtail the only up and to the right trajectory of his Q rating with Packers fans if there's any contract
A
dealings
certain
that go
segment of
public here
Packers
next
fans,
week?
sure,
Sure. Yeah.
There's still people who think Favre should be the starter. Come on. We know there are fans out there who will be upset if that happens. People, especially online, people just live to be upset. Like,
Yeah,
if you're
that's
the
fair.
player, you got to do what you got to do to get every red cent you can while you are playing. And if that is what they determine is the best course of action, that's what they should do. Yeah, fans will probably get upset, but I tell you what, they're going to be right back on the bandwagon when Jordan and company go down to Brazil and he throws 3 tutties and 250 yards and Packers come home with a W in front of the whole
I cannot
world.
wait. That is what we're talking about. I can't wait for that. I can't wait to be able to see Aaron Nagler in person on the sidelines at Ray Nitschke Field just a couple of weeks away. We're so close.
We got a text from the 608. Like a robin in the spring, Nags is a sign of the football season. So
It really is
people
true.
Appreciate you hopping on.
I appreciate
Nags-
you having me on.
Oh, are you kidding me? I appreciate you jumping on.
There's a lot of appreciation going on.
A lot of appreciation. I really appreciate the fact that I get to hang out with Aaron Nagler on the Carry the G radio show, the podcast, which we will be taping another edition of later on this afternoon for all your listening pleasure throughout the weekend. So you will not have to cut the lawn without Packers football blasting through your earbuds this weekend, because Aaron Nagler and I will be talking some of it. See, that's
That
what we're
is
doing
correct.
next. Just the yeoman's work for everybody this weekend, because, hey, yard work is stocked up. There's been a lot of rain here, Nags. I don't know if it's the same thing in New York, because, you guys are just finally apparently getting garbage cans from what I saw online. They're finally now having garbage cans out front. Yard work has been really backed
Well
up here
played.
with the rain here.
Well, we don't have
so.
yards here, so we don't have to worry about yard work or clippings or anything like that. So we haven't really needed garbage cans for 100+ years until, Mayor Adams in his infinite wisdom was like, what about garbage cans? Amazing.
What about these
Amazing.
cans where you put the garbage instead of
I
just out on the
love
street?
living in the center of the universe. It's amazing. It's great.
It's amazing, man. It's amazing. You guys had stoplights way before anybody else. Everybody else had sanitation before you guys in New York City. It's a hell of a dynamic to be able to live in.
Greatest city in the world, my brother. Greatest city.
All
in the
right, man.
world.
We'll be talking later on. Appreciate it. Enjoy the weekend.
Have a good weekend, guys. Talk to you soon.
That's Aaron Nagler, Cheesehead TV, joining us here on 9 to noon. Always fun. I love chopping it up with Nags. It's one of my favorite parts of the week is when him and I tape the podcast, and we will be bringing that show back to these airwaves during the football season to talk Packers, carry the G with all of you, and get some wins. Hopefully for our Green Bay Packers. I think 9.5. I said on Tuesday, Nick, at the Packers and Badgers Radio Network client golf situation. I said it felt like it's pretty easy win right there on the 9.5. Wayne Larrabee was asking if I was wearing some green and gold shades if I was drinking the Kool-Aid.
Really?
I didn't think that was that much Kool-Aid being
Yeah, I
drank to think that they're a win better than they were last year at 9-8.
They got to be, unless something's gone wrong. They've got to be. You got any other wins in your bag for today for our listeners?
I better have at least one more here, Nick. This son of a gun is figuring it out. Nick Brusewitz, an absolute weapon in the broadcast booth. I'm Billy Schmid. This is the Coons Can't Miss, presented by Potawatomi Casino Hotel Sportsbook. And the Potawatomi Sportsbook is your destination for the weekend. If you're looking for something to do this weekend that involves, 1, potentially winning money, 2, enjoying cold, refreshing beverages at a reasonable price, 3, watching sports on the largest screen known to man in the city of Milwaukee, yeah, Potawatomi Sportsbook is your place to be. It's as easy as that. And I mentioned the cold drinks at a reasonable price. Fantastic food at a reasonable price as well. The Potawatomi Sportsbook. Don't even have to make an investment. Now, if you do want to, I think you have yourself a very, very fun weekend to do so. Euro Championship coming up on Sunday. I got laughed at by a young man on the talk and text line yesterday because I am pretty soccer illiterate. So today's Coons Can't Miss, Nick Brusewitz is not going to feature the Euro Championship.
Good call.
I'm sorry. Good
call.
Listen, congratulations to all those involved. Congratulations to England and Spain, right? To making it this far.
I believe so. We should have hit that with Nags.
Yeah, enjoy. Nags, big England fan. Yeah.
He's going to be
I asked him last week on the podcast, so is the soccering? Are we doing the soccer? Is it good soccer? Has it been bad soccer? How is the soccer? And he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I think people that have been watching enjoyed it. What I really enjoy is winning money and getting a plus margin with the LA Dodgers. Now, Nick Brusewitz, many people are becoming more and more familiar with the name of a 27-year-old left-hander by the name of Tarik Skubal.
Yeah, he's been a baller.
Unbelievable this year. Second in the league in ERA at 2.37. Sixth in the league in strikeouts with already 130 of them things. And he has a .9 whip, which is best in baseball. That means that he is giving up less than 1 walk or hit per inning pitched. That's a pretty staggering number. Him with the Detroit Tigers, who are right now 45-49, 22-23 at Comerica Park in Detroit, Michigan, are minus 140 favorites against the LA Dodgers. Now, I don't like cheering for the Dodgers at all. It is actually against my religion. However, James Paxton, have you been seeing the kind of year that Paxton's putting together as well? 7-2, 4 ERA, not great, but at 35 years old, being able to pitch with that kind of lineup behind you, James Paxton, finding a little fountain of youth. He gets to pitch against the lineup that features Javi Baez, who got dragged through the mud by a broadcaster this weekend when he thought that an 84-mile-an-hour slider being thrown at his hip was intentional. He said, Javi, you're hitting well below 200. Nobody is throwing at you on purpose.
I saw that, yeah. Good stuff.
Nobody's trying to hit you. And Javi, you're not going to be hitting James Paxton today. I'm getting the Dodgers plus 120. I'm taking the Dodger money line, and I'm not apologizing for it. So the bet here today is the first baseball game off the board, 5:40 first pitch in Pittsburgh or in Detroit. Tigers against the Dodgers. Give me the NL West's best Dodgers coming up with a win, plus 120. Get some of that extra cash. John went under 7.5 strikeouts yesterday for Paul Skeens. Nick, he struck out 10 of his first 13 outs. That was cooked pretty early.
He got that number pretty quickly, and Heller popped on our show during the crossover to say, take the over, everybody.
Yeah, he did bounce that real quickly.
He said, take the over on Skeens. He's getting at least 8. And then, well, I guess Mike looks right today.
Yeah, with 11 of them throughout the game and 7 no-hit innings. Paul Skeens was fantastic. Brent from Franklin betting against Skubal, asking for a loss, Billy. Listen, dude's been unreal. And I am not against the Detroit Tigers as much as I am against their football team. I know him. I love getting plus money with the LA Dodgers. James Paxton has not been fantastic, but he has been better than you would have anticipated a 35-year-old would be. And Scoble maybe eyeing himself that all-star break, thinking too much about how he can have himself a day and match Paul Skeens as the starter on the American League side. I think he should be the starter on the American League side. But by hell or high water, Dodgers getting it done. Give me the plus 120. Give me the win. That's the Coons can't miss here today on 9 to noon. After a loss, we need a win for the weekend, and we'll do so right here, right now on 9 to noon. He's Nick Brusewitz. I'm Billy Schmid. The NicolaLaw.com talking text line is 414-799-1973. Left that number one pick out dangling like a carrot. Got a couple of suggestions here on the talking text line. I'm going to run them by our fantasy guy, Nick Brusewitz. I got two that people have not named. I'm interested to see the reaction from our guy, Nick Brusewitz, and from you on the NicolaLaw.com talking text line. It's 414-799-1973. We've been talking football. It's never too early to talk about your football team. And not the Green Bay Packers, this one. Your team. That one that you stress and agonize over decisions while you're sitting on the porcelain throne on Sunday at 7:30 in the morning. Who am I starting in my flex? More importantly, who are you taking number one? It's 9 to noon on the game. 9 to noon inside the Iron Jock Studios. Thanks for hanging out with myself, Billy Schmid, Nick Brusewitz by my side here today, doing a fantastic job. John Kuhn will be back with us coming up on Monday. Armin Sarian still, well, I should say resting and enjoying day number 3 of fatherhood. Instead, he's enjoying by listening to the radio program and texting us in. So it makes sense. I am glad to know that Armin is still being able to be plugged in because, Nick, he can never leave the Iron Jock Studios. He's a smart kid. He loves the business, just loves being around it. And to be honest, I think he also kind of likes Iron Jock. And who wouldn't love this deal from Iron Jock on their new men's and women's joggers, which are here. And for those who don't jog, like myself, you can just call it your new favorite sweatpant because you're going to wear it day after day after day after day. And the best part is it won't smell. Now through July 21st, when you buy $65 or more, and use promo code 25summer, Iron Jock will give you a 25% discount on your entire purchase. That's ironjock.com for more details, ironjoc.com. 414-799-1973. Before we get into our fantasy football conversation, there is a young man who is patiently waiting on the NicoletLaw.com talk and text line, which is 414-799-1973. That is Pete in New Jersey. Now, I believe this is the Pete in Jersey that was able to witness Armin Sarian take in a Big East tournament game next to him. Pete.
Billy, good morning. Happy Friday morning from Jersey. Actually, full disclosure, as I talk to you here, I'm in Palm Springs, California, out here on an important business trip. I some colleagues with me, guys that I know from my industry. One Giants fan, we got one San Francisco fan who's talking a lot of smack. I'll tell Will to chime in if and when we're ready for him. But anyway, good to be on and excited about Armin and Lara having little baby Lena. I don't know if I can say the name on air, but I guess I just did. But cute baby. I texted with Armin yesterday. Excited for him and his family. But no, guys, great to be on again. I just want to say this. We'll get into fantasy in a sec. I couldn't be more bullish. 3 weeks out of the with 3 weeks out of the start of the NFL season and training camp. Couldn't be more bullish on our Packers.
Yeah,
I'm excited. I think Jordan Love's going to get paid.
Yeah,
it's got to happen. Your conversation thread with Nags earlier, Billy, about does he hold out? That's scary talk to me. But hey,
are your boys trying to are your boys trying to plant that seed in your head? I mean, you said Giants fan, you said Niners fan. I assume if you're hanging out with that whole triumvirate, there's got to be a Cowboys fan and maybe a Patriot fan in the mix there as well.
There's a lot of there's a Chargers fan.
Sure. Oh, there's one. Okay, sweet. There is one.
There he is.
There is a Chargers fan. There
guy.
is a Chargers fan. Okay.
My man Will was he's a Niners guy. He's from San Francisco. What are you trying to say? You're talking about the Owens.
What?
You're like,
I was just. Hey, what's up, guys? First of all, hey, congrats to Armin.
Oh yeah, thanks, Will.
Pete over here is
Sure.
good, great.
Yeah.
I was just
What's happened?
I lived through the heckiest years of watching the Packers kick the out of
Yeah.
90s.
which we like.
Mhm. Yeah, we like that one. So this is Will that we're talking to here, Nick. Nick, pull them down here. We're gonna pull their volume down here for a second because I'm gonna figure out exactly what the hell's going on. So this is my man Pete from New Jersey, who this is like, if indeed I'm reading this right, my man just called up just to have a friendly conversation in the midst here and let us know about everybody in the hotel room. Right. I just want to.
So he's got a couple of boys with him.
Yeah.
That are
couple
talking,
of the squad hanging
talking
out.
smack, and he's calling us to reassure him that the Packers going to be just fine and that the Giants fan and the 49ers fan in the room, are wrong.
Okay. So let's hear from Will here real quick. This is Will, the 49ers fan. So Will, as you're trying to talk badly to our guy Pete here and trying to talk some stuff for your San Francisco 49ers, what indeed has he rebutted to you? Because as somebody who, you talked about remembering the times when the Packers won, I don't remember a whole lot of those in the playoffs as a younger cat. So is Pete doing a good job talking back to you, or is he just taking this and we have to chastise him for not swinging back with more, elbows and fists?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, if you're a football guy, you're a football guy through and through. And I saw the Packer hat way back when I met Pete, and it's just been fun jawing back and forth the whole time. It's all love. He gives us this. it's back and forth, jaw jacking, just like football dudes love to do.
Good.
Well,
that mean-
Niners have had Packers number.
Billy, this is Pete. I'm not backing down. I'm not
Good.
backing down. I'm all Packers. I'm saying this. Jordan Love and the Pack goes out to San Francisco. We win. You know, maybe a divisional game. Maybe the wild card. Maybe,
Okay.
Maybe that's my prediction. That's my prediction.
There we go.
Green Bay.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's
what I'm talking about. All right, you boys get back to this barroom conversation because Nick, they're gonna keep fighting here for a while. We appreciate the time, guys. That was good stuff. For our guy Pete to then decide that while his buddy Will is making fun of him and talking stuff about the Packers, to then think that it was a good idea to let Will come and try to talk that stuff to more Packers fans. I got to question Pete on that deal.
Well, it's an interesting angle. He was.
It's an interesting idea.
Calling upon us to be the guys that brought the artillery behind him and provide him with what he needed.
Yeah, we're fully endorsing that part of it.
Yeah, it was certainly a disjointed phone call to say the least. But it's an opportunity to give Pete a chance to hop on his
Let's go,
favorite
Pete.
program.
Heck yeah.
I like to think of it like he loves the show, loves
the
guys
show,
on the show,
loves the Packers, and also likes talking stuff to Will. Like I'm a fan of it. I struggle though right now talking stuff to 49ers fans. Right? Like I mean, that's why I asked when Will is there, reminding him of the divisional round.
Yeah, it was my
division round of
impression
2023
when I screened the call,
NFC title game in 2019. There's just not a whole lot that we're able to take swings back at right now. So I had to make sure that our guy Pete was at least not just taking shots left and right.
Yeah,
getting bombarded here. At least that he was swinging back. That's good stuff. All right.
It was my impression that the boys were going to remain in the background. I did not think there would be a phone grab and a transition.
They were handing it off left and right. Like that phone was getting passed around like a bottle before you're walking out on a Saturday night. That was impressive. Cannonball coming was the phone there in the mix. But we appreciate the weigh-in. We appreciate you all weighing in and having fun on a fast Friday in the good land at 414-799-1973.
We have our fantasy first picks coming up next. I promise you.
Well, no, but I mean, the tough thing was kind of led into it because everybody's saying McCaffrey. Everybody is dialed in on Christian McCaffrey. There's only so many players that you could really feasibly throw back, and one of which, Nick, hadn't been to camp and CeeDee Lamb.
Mm-hmm.
One of them hadn't caught a ball from his starting quarterback in a couple of months of game time in Jamar Chase, right? Like Justin Jefferson, you don't know who he's catching balls from. So again, I'd like to throw a different name there. I'd like to talk some smack against the Niners. Just don't know exactly where it's coming from. We got to do that. And we got to get a win in November to then give our guy Pete from New Jersey some ammunition, give more Packers fans some ammunition going up against Niners fans in those conversations, because right now I think we're struggling. I think we're swinging on an uphill climb. All right. 414-799-1973. Our takeaways of the day, our final ones going into the weekend. What could you take from today's show? There's obviously a ton. There's obviously so much. And 414-799-1973. We'll take one of those as our biggest takeaway of the day. Nick Bruswitz right there. I'm Billy Schmidt. It's 9 to noon on the game. Billy Schmidt, Nick Brusewitz, round and third, heading for home. It's 9 to noon on the game. 414-799-1973, the NicoletLaw.com talking text line. Patrick from East Troy, Big Daddy Patty, talking about our fantasy football conversation. Mentions Justin Jefferson's name, makes a nice joke about Jair Alexander. Big Daddy Patty, I initially reading it, Nick Brusewitz think, wait, is he saying that he's going to take Pat Mahomes, number one overall in fantasy football? Or is he referring to Big Daddy Patty, Pat Mahomes, adding to the clan? Congratulations, as the Mahomes just announced that they are expecting their third child. So his dad's strength is increasing. And if that increases, maybe the trophy case continues to increase there as they chase down that three-peat with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I guess maybe we should chart, because we like to think Mahomes is on the trajectory of being the GOAT, right? Can he catch Brady? Well, where was Brady at this point in his life?
One kid. Oh, sorry. One. I think one child, one divorce. So Mahomes has got a lot to get to if he's going to try to match all the numbers, or maybe he's just trying to change them.
You don't want to go too far, though,
rewrite
and
the
then end up
books.
Phillip Rivers, right? Because Phil's got a whole starting.
Fair, yeah.
you can start a whole offense with them, right? There's 9 kids.
Yeah,
him and his wife.
Well, and then, if you're going on maybe my pick for the number one overall pick, Tyreek Hill, he's got a whole starting 11.
Goodness. They just found another one yesterday.
They just found another one in a Florida court apparently yesterday. So now we're at 11, and he's expecting one with his now wife. So that's a fascinating one. Where do you stand on my idea of Tyreek Hill, number one overall in fantasy? I got a couple of reasons why here, Nick.
Yeah.
One of which you might laugh at, knowing the fact that he signed a 4-year, $120 million contract with $72 million guaranteed when traded from Kansas City to the Miami Dolphins. But he's going into his age 30 season. And I think this is kind of going to be like a de facto almost contract year for Tyreek Hill. He's got 34.5 as his cap hit in 25. 56.3 as his cap hit in 26. Potential out here in the 2025 year where the dead cap money is a little bit easier to work around. More importantly, Tyreek Hill's looking around, seeing Amon-Ra St. Brown get broke off, seeing Justin Jefferson get broke off, watching all these dudes reset the market that he reset 2 years ago. And I think Tyreek Hill is going to want to swim in those waters. Most importantly, because he has to, because he got a whole lot of child support payments to pony up. He had said when he signed that 4-year, $120 million deal, he was kind of thinking about retiring at the end of it.
Yeah.
I don't know that Tyreek Hill is going to be retiring anytime soon, because I think he's got a whole lot of mouths to feed. I think he is built so perfectly for that offense. And when you watch Dolphins games, and I was listening to Chris Long on his podcast talk about this with Darius Slay a couple of days ago, the play really starts when he starts in motion. Teams have to defend and be cognizant of action for 8, 9, 10, 11 seconds. He's just such a unique weapon. Nobody has repeated as the offensive player of the year since like Marshall Faulk did. I just think if you're looking at injury, absolutely could be a part of it. I'm more concerned about McCaffrey's injury history than Tyreek Hill's. I'm trying to find something different here, Nick. And I know Hill's going to get the volume. I know he's got the breakaway game-changing pick. Tell me I'm wild here on somebody that's like consensus more top 5 than number 1.
Well, you're not wrong. Fantasy football and fantasy sports in general are not like the real sport themselves. You don't really want to have the first overall selection. There isn't much value to having the first overall pick, especially in a year where there is no clear-cut guy. Heading into last season, you take Justin Jefferson. You just took him. I mean, he was coming off of a historic season. The trajectory with him and Kirk Cousins was only going up. You're under a head coach in O'Connell that is an offense-first guy that's going to continue to grow. They're going to continue to reinvent the wheel offensively and find new ways to get Jefferson involved. There isn't a clear-cut guy this year. To try and take it off the beaten path, I'm going to make an assumption here. I'm going to make an assumption that the majority of leagues are points per reception, PPR leagues.
Yeah, I think that's the majority now.
So I'm going to make an assumption there. I'm going to say off the beaten path and maybe under the radar, as much as it may hurt, guy from wide receiver, Amon-Ra St. Brown. He is a catch machine. They moved off of Josh Reynolds, went ahead, and he's over at Denver now. You're going to have Jameson Williams to beat you over the top. But there's going to be a lot put on Amon-Ra's plate this year. And I do think that he's going to be a great option there. And if you want to get extra sexy, extra crazy, and you want to take a running back, but you're just not sold for whatever reason on Christian McCaffrey, Zach Robinson, offensive coordinator from the Rams, has worked his way over down to Atlanta. And
Yep.
Bijan Robinson is next. I mean, that's the reality here. He is an incredible, incredible player. You saw sparks. You saw moments of that this past season. I think if you're going to be drafting and you're at 6, 7, or 8 this year, you're going to feel pretty darn good about it because you're going to be able to turn Breece Hall, Bijan Robinson in the first round, flip it to the next round, and Garrett Wilson maybe with Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, so let me just throw this out here as I'm looking at a bunch of different ranking systems and just trying to make sure that I'm not only looking at one and going on it. Cooper Kupp is like not even a top 50 projected fantasy player.
Yeah, because he's going to have to compete, right, with Puka Nakua's growth and the expectation at some
Doesn't
point.
Puka
a wide
Nakua
receiver
still have to compete with him?
Well,
Right, like I mean, because isn't he still the volume guy? Like I now you're all
he's older.
He's older, a year older. He was hurt all last year. Number 23 wide receiver. I'm taking him well before that, and I'm going to bank on the fact that I can hit some lightning in a bottle on that.
Yeah, those that are listening, I mean, this is a secret right here. I mean, this is a steal.
Wow.
You're going to get Cooper Kupp, and you got people are going to be like, well, the age. We got to think about the relationship with him and Stafford.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
That's our takeaway of the day, brought to you by Quick Trip. Need something for dinner tonight? Don't stop it. Don't stop anywhere other than Quick Trip. If you pick up a freshly prepared, absolutely delicious take-home meal at Quick Trip, you're not only one, going to be satisfied, two, you're going to be supporting a Wisconsin-sourced company. You're also going to potentially find as well as Nature's Touch ice cream and the spicy chicken sandwich was my absolute favorite. If you're not getting their fried chicken, I also question some of the things that you're doing, but maybe you're driving and it's not advantageous for you to be eating a chicken thigh or, a chicken breast while you're driving. Maybe that's not exactly what you're trying to do, but if you're a passenger princess, which I'm going to try to be later on this afternoon, that's what I'd be going with over at Quick Trip. Nick Brusewitz, fantastic work. Enjoy a couple of days off. You've earned the heck out of it. But not yet, because you still got a whole lot more work to do as the Mike Heller Show comes up right after this, starring the love muscle Doug Russell. I'll cross over with him in a matter of moments. Try to be better on Monday. We have to be. We're going to take the weekend to think about what we did this week and how we can turn it around as we start up the All-Star Week, which is the number one most in-demand week of sports radio in America. Look it up. It's a proven fact, and we'll start it up coming up on Monday on 9 to noon.